Hello everyone. Hi my friends. Happy Saturday. Happy Sabbath to all of the Sabbath celebration. All the Sabbath celebrants. I know some persons are having a Sabbath celebration. And so I want to say welcome to Jackie Facebook Live at 5:45. I am just glad, I'm honored to have you here. And before I get started, I normally ask for your help. I want you to like the video, share the video. Okay, like the video, share the video. Let's be interactive. This is a conversation. So write your comments in the chat and let me know whether you're feeling me or not. Okay, so let me know you're feeling me. I'm looking for my friends, and the first one arriving, I saw somebody. They're here. I didn't see the individual. I'm trying to look and see if I can. Miss Wallace is watching. I don't know if she's the first person, but I see Miss Wallace. Good evening. She's saying good evening, Queen. And of course, good evening to my one and only Miss Wallace, a very faithful watcher, Jackie Gardner Facebook Live at 5:45. So I'm telling you, call your friends. This is a big one. We're talking about procrastination. Someone else just turned up and showing all the love. Today, I want to thank one of the viewers of Facebook, Jackie Facebook Live at 45, for this topic. Mr. Carey, listening to one of our live, the question was no, I think, or the answer is no. And he says, you need to deal with another big topic, procrastination. And I thought about that. I'm like, that's a really big one. And I am guilty of it. So I don't know, it might have been the Lord leading him to suggest this particular topic, but I want to thank you, Mr. Carey, for suggesting this topic. And I want more of you, please give me your feedback and let me know what you want me to deal with and dive in on in this community on this Facebook Live showing. Secondly, I want to thank Mr. Battles all the way in the U.S. for making this contribution. My son, Rashawn Gardner, Mr. Donna Masakanuba, for his contribution, and my international group, Mindset Group, all persons making contribution to this live. So a big thank you even before we get started. All right, so let's dive right in using our formula. In our community, we do have a formula: wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. And so in that process, we first try to gather information and then apply that information. Now, because this topic is such a big topic, I decided that I will do part 1 and part 2, just so the live wouldn't be so long. So I hope you would understand. So please be with me not next week, the following week for part 2. All right? So in part 1, we're going to be talking about procrastination, what it is, what it isn't, who's guilty of doing it, and some other things. And I have a confession like always. So it is often said that procrastination is like a battle. Imagine that. It's like a battle going on in your head. No, it's not like the kind of battle where you hear gunfire or grenades, things of that nature. But it's this conflicting feeling, feelings of weaknesses, laziness, poor self-concept, fear, that's a big one, depression, lack of focus, sneaking around and then attacking the rational. So these fears are more or less coming from the irrational part of your brain. But on the rational side of your brain, they are attacking the rational side of your brain. Let me just phrase that. The rational side is attacking the part that is not rational. On the rational side is where you do systematic thinking, problem solving. You're looking at facts, you're analyzing, and you're making decisions not just in the moment, but you are making a decision what would impact your life now and in the future. So it's a systematic way of making that decision. You're looking at all the facts. And then on the other side of your brain that is not rational, that side of your brain is not concerned about facts. You know what that side of your brain is concerned about? What do you think it's concerned about? D is here saying she's in the house. The other side, and we're talking about procrastination, and I'm sure everybody could resonate with this topic. So we're talking about one side of your brain. There's a battle going on in your brain, left versus right. One side is very much rational, the other side not rational, and seems like, there's a conflict going on. Which side would win? And procrastination is not necessarily on the best side of your brain. We're going to talk a little bit about more of that. Now, so what is procrastination? So that's what we want to answer in this live, because it's very important for us to have a working definition as to what procrastination is and who is attacked by it, because we want to protect ourselves. If it's a battle going on, I don't want to be attacked by, and this is something that can hurt us and harm us. I want to make sure that as many persons in our community and around the world, because the live isn't just for our community, it's for people everywhere, because what we said in our community, we want to reach one. We want to encourage people to live. First, we want to be the example in living our best lives, and that's why we have this community. And then whatever information we gather, we want to share it with the wider community so each and every one can live his or her best life. All right? Guilty as charged. So she's saying she's in the house and she's guilty of procrastination as charged. So we're going to find out who is guilty. So I love that kind of person who could put their hand, up and say, before you even give the definition, I know that I'm guilty. All right. So many people confuse procrastination with postponement. Procrastination with postponement. Don't confuse it after today. Whereas both procrastination and postponement both involve a delay. Now here is the big point. Both involve a delay. The difference is with postponement relates to delaying an event. Procrastination relates to delaying an action and not having any and your reason for delaying that action is an unnecessary reason. It's an unnecessary delay. You get that? So with procrastination, you're stuck, you're delayed, but it's no justifiable reason for that delay. It's not a necessary reason for the delay. If you do the right thing, if you probably do more research, get more information, you can move forward as opposed to be stuck in that position. So with procrastination, it's all about getting to the root cause of it. You are stuck and there is not a justifiable reason for you being stuck. You just stuck because maybe you're lazy, maybe you have low self-esteem. There are things that you can do to move forward. So let me know if that definition resonates, because it's important, because that's what we're going to be basing our premise on. You are delaying your decision, you're delaying your action, but there is no good justifiable reason for it. Okay? So that's our definition. Who is attacked by procrastination? It attacks any and everyone. You hear that? Any and everyone. All race, all gender, all creeds. Each individual is faced with this menace called procrastination. The difference is how we respond to it. Some of us do a lot of procrastinating. I did a lot in my lifetime. It's one of my big work items that I'm working on. Because I know that to live my best life and to be powerful and empowering, I need to rid myself and make sure that I minimize it and keep it in check. So, okay, sometimes you spread yourself too thin. She said guilty spread. That's a good one. So we're going to talk about those reasons. And in phase 2 of it, we're going to talk about, because we never leave our community defenseless. So we're going to talk about how you could minimize it, how you could better manage it. So the working definition is it's an unnecessary delay. And the second thing is each and everyone is plagued by it. It's common to mankind. All right? So you know that you're not in the minority. You're in the majority. Now, here is where you have your problem. How you respond when you're faced with the temptation to procrastinate. How do you respond? Because to get to the solution, you need to get to the root cause. And one of our viewers just said, spreading yourself too thin might be one of the reasons why you're procrastinating. All right? So she just volunteered that. I want to say this upfront about procrastinating people, right? And I know about it. Procrastinators normally live a miserable, they are at that time when they recognize the fact that they have procrastinated, he or she, the individual, but if it's more than one, the individual is miserable. And I could tell you, when I procrastinate and I come to the conclusion like, my goodness, Jackie, you're repeating the same vicious cycle. What is wrong with you? I become a miserable person. I am unhappy in that moment because I don't like the way I'm behaving. So I don't know, like, let me see if this resonating with you. Let me see your thumbs up. Give me some feedback. How about you? When you procrastinate and you evaluate that, how do you feel after procrastinating? Do you feel, are you in a good mood or are you in a bad mood? Do you feel proud? Tap yourself on the shoulder and say, hey, Pat, you've done well. Daphne, you've done well. How do you feel? Valencia's in the house. When you procrastinate, Valencia, how do you feel? Are you happy? Are you sad? Are you proud of yourself or are you not proud of yourself? My confession, I'm miserable when I procrastinate because I know that that's not going to move me in the direction in which I want to go. I want to go straight forward ahead if it's something good and it requires action. All right? The quest of fair course of procrastination. Here is my one and only Mr. Questa Dean, my mentor. Anyway, she knows how I feel about her. So glad to have you here. Glad to have you here for so many reasons. So back to our topic, procrastination. So like I said, I'm miserable when I procrastinate. They say, but what happens with people who procrastinate a lot of times, what happens is they get distracted, and they're distracted for many different reasons, doing things that are unimportant. Often they're doing things that are unimportant, and I'm guilty of this. Like, especially if I don't want to do that big work item. Oh, Miss Dixon procrastinate, make you feel bad. Oh, she could resonate with me. Glad to hear that you feeling me. What we often procrastinators do, they get involved with doing things that are not, you're not looking at what is most important. Unimportant, a bunch of unimportant things well. I do a bunch of unimportant things sometimes well. And delaying doing the important thing until it's the deadline. We're getting activated and moving by a deadline. And then when we reach our deadline, what we want to do? We want to scream, we want to cry, because if you're like me, I still want to do it right. So I didn't take the right action. I procrastinated. Now I'm allowing a deadline to move me. I'm being moved, pushed, challenged by a deadline. And often when we are moved and we are pushed by a deadline, we do not do our very best. And then once again, what we want to do, if you're like me, you want beat upon yourself. I want beat because I didn't do my best. As I look at it, you know, sometimes I look at my life and I say, Jackie, you could have done better. You understand me? And to do better means that you got to practice. You got to be able to look at what other persons are doing in terms of their methods. You got to do research. You know, procrastination steals your valuable time. My bestie said it steals your valuable time. Very true. It steals your valuable. Imagine that you have limited time and you are allowing procrastination to steal limited time, and time is priceless. So we want to move past it. And like I said, in phase 2, we're going to talk about how to move past it. But right now, what I want you to do is look in the mirror as I mentioned some of the things. See if you see yourself resonating in some of the things that I mentioned. Say, that's me. Like, Valencia, that's me. Jackie, like how I said, Jackie, that's you. All right? So don't allow panic to be a motivator to move. And believe this, that for some people, if it wasn't for panic, now listen here, panic is the savior. For some people, if it wasn't for panic, they just move by endlessly, aimlessly, in no direction. Not in the direction that they want to go, because they just keep procrastinating and not doing the thing that is most important to push you forward. All right? So we don't want that to happen. Like I said, this is part 1, and next week is part 2. This week we're talking about procrastinating and how we are procrastinating, how we find ourselves in this situation. And in part 2, we will address ways to remedy procrastination. So I did a survey because, like I said, I want to do better. So I did a survey. I got out there. I did a survey in a local market. I might have contacted some of you in the local market. And I did a survey in the international market. I'm in a mindset group. And so I did try to get some feedback from these individuals. Because I just didn't want to go on my gut and my feeling. I wanted to bring a collective approach to this live. And what do you think the feedback was in terms of what is the number one reason why people procrastinate? Put it in the chat. Let me see if someone already said it, but let me see if more of you will get it. What do you think is the number one reason why people procrastinate? Let me see if I can see a response. The number one reason. Very quickly so we can save our time. Let me see if I can see some response there. The number one reason why. Dun, 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 I'm looking for a response. If I don't see a response, I'll have to respond very quickly. All right. Feedback, you might have responded and it's a delay. Frustration, somebody say first, fair. Why the one and only D. Gardner is getting that? The number one reason that came back, fair. Okay, fair. Okay, Miss Dixon is here with us also. So 2 voices saying the very same thing, and I think someone said it earlier. Fear of change, but Lindsay is saying the same thing. Fair. The number one reason that came back was fair. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about fair. Now, fair in and of itself is not the big rock problem, because you could be fearful for a justifiable reason. But to find out why you're fearful, what you need to do, you need to investigate. You need to get to the root cause and look under fear and see what is pulling fear, what is dragging fear. If you are fearful because you need to get more information or you need more time and hence you need to delay, and it's fearful that you don't have all the information and time and you delay because of that, then that's a justifiable reason. That's a wise decision. Your action now is to go and get more information to make the decision. So you're not stuck. You are going now, you're moving in the right direction, maybe not full force ahead to conclude the matter, but you're going in search of more information so that you can conclude the matter. The one and only Miss Wallace is on this live. Great to have you, Monique. So that's a good reason. Fair in that case. That's justifiable, and that's what they talk about procrastination. So you would not call that procrastination because you are now going for, you're delaying the decision to get more information or you need more time. That's justifiable. So they say that that's not in the category of procrastination. That's just a delay for a justifiable reason. You're going to make a decision once you gather that information and then you're going to move forward. Here is the kind of fear now that, it's common to many of us, including, I'll be the first one to say, starting with me. Righteousness starting with me. Where we are fearful and sometimes the reason isn't justifiable. We're just afraid of change, the person is saying. If you're afraid of change, you can't stay still. You have to get more information. Find out from other people how to navigate this change. You with me? And then move forward. Staying still is not an option because it does not solve the problem. It takes us in the opposite direction in which we want to go. We want to be successful people. So standing still and procrastinating and not making the decision is not an option. Also, do not allow, we got some people out there with the spirit of manipulation out there. They want to push you and press you to make the decision. That ain't the kind of moving forward we're talking about on this live. We're talking about moving forward because you, not somebody made the decision for you. You looked at the facts, you went in search of information, and you are moving forward. Don't allow, yes, get advice from people, but don't depend on people to push you forward. That's not the way. You're not in control of yourself when you're allowing someone to push you forward. You with me? Get the encouragement from them, yes. But you make the decision on your own because here's the thing. And I want to warn you about this. When you, sometimes even with the information you have in hand, sometimes you have to move forward not having all the facts. That's just the reality of it. You're just using wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to make the best humanly decision. You hear what I said? You're human. The best humanly decision. And so sometimes when you make that decision, there are consequences. Yes, you got that part of it right, and you got this part wrong, and for that part that you got wrong, there might be some consequences. Because you understand and appreciate that you made the decision, not someone made the decision for you. Somebody made the decision for you. And I know I've been in cases where I've allowed people to make decisions for me, and then I got to endure the consequences of a decision someone made for me. That makes sense? Absolutely. You make your own decisions so that when you have to live out those consequences, you understand that you have to live out those consequences. And talking about the consequences, sometimes we have to go backwards, right? It's better for us to go backwards than to move still. Do you believe that? Sometimes because that's a shift, that's a movement. And in that shift and going backwards, you might be able to look at the problem from a new perspective and gain more information to enable you to push forward. So did you get that? So sometimes going backwards is what you need in order to move forward, but don't stay stuck. Don't delay. Just in a state of delay, don't procrastinate like that. All right? So I hope I got that. I clearly explained that to you. Now, some of the other reasons. Let me see if you'll get this. So fear was number one, and then I'm going to number two, number three, and number four. These were sort of surprising to me. I did not expect these reasons coming back. Number two was depression. I didn't. Obviously, depression is a plague, not just locally, and it didn't just happen with the laziness, someone said. It didn't just happen with the pandemic. Many of us have depression issues, and I want to appeal to those of you in the community. Please do not handle depression on your own. Go and get help. Why do we feel like going getting help for something that makes us feel stuck and something that is not enabling us to live our best life is weakness? Please, if you are depressed, please seek help. Go on the internet. You can Google it, get some information. Go to a therapist if you need to take it that far. Find a friend. There are many different ways to get out of that unstuck state so that you could live your best life. So depression was second. Persons with attention deficit disorder. I didn't even factor that in. That some people might be stuck because they can't focus, lack of focus. So some people can't focus because they have attention deficit disorder, but some people can't focus because they're just distracted. All right? There's no shame. That's the feedback. There's no shame in getting help. Thank you very much. No shame in that game. Actually, when you do that, you're actually being courageous. Really. That's the bottom line. All right? We just have it twisted sometimes. So in this community, we're going to work our formula and get those things that are twisted, we're going to untwist it. Right? So, attention deficit and lack of focus. Right? You remember we spoke about the person doing all the unimportant things instead of the thing that is most important. And the third thing, and I'm guilty of this. I don't know if any of you, so let me know if you're guilty of this. Perfectionist. Now, I'm guilty of it, but I didn't think it would have made the survey. But it was all the way, that all or nothing approach. Many persons are guilty of that, and they get stuck. If I can't do it 100%, I'm not going to do it at all. That's not a good reaction, because you're in a delay fund. You're never going to have all the information. You never. I remember my mentor, and she's on here. I mean, and I you know, every time I think about her and the influence she's had on my life, I know when I first started out, I looked to her for direction, and she would be on my live, and she would be giving me feedback. You know, as busy as she is now, you can see my eyes watering, right? Y'all know I'm easy to cry when somebody has departed something significant. So what I love, and I'd say about this mentor, what I love about her, right? And I'm going to call her name, the one and only Mr. Quesser. What I loved about her was, not only was she there on the live, giving feedback to me, even though my work at that particular time might not have been the very best, she was not afraid to put her professional name, She had already done the work. And she is par excellence as far as I'm concerned. But she was prepared to take her good name, match it with a novice like mine, somebody who's just beginning, and saying good job, and then explaining to me what I'm not doing right. You understand me? She didn't talk behind my back. She came full circuit and gave me a private telephone call and say, Jackie, next time you go on your live, you need to do A, B, and C. I hope no teardrop from my eye. But really, okay, she didn't procrastinate. The moment she saw my live, she picked up the phone and said, now, Jackie, you need to do A, B, and C. And I really appreciated that. So I'm not going to linger on that. I'm just saying that get help, get information to help move you forward, because you're going to never be perfect. And in some areas of my life, because I'm now moving into my confession once I already go down this list in the interest of time, because that is one of my big work challenges. I want to be perfect when I go out there and do things, and I'm a human being. I'm not going to be perfect. And her advice to me was, Jackie, just get it started and then you will perfect it along the way. So thank you so much, DeQuessa. I really appreciate that. Then some of the other reasons, poor self-image. So I'm wondering if you see yourself in some of this procrastinating reasons why you might procrastinate. Having a disempowering conversation with yourself. I have done that. Beat up on myself. Jackie, why are you so stupid? You could have done better. Like I said, sometimes I look at my life and like, why did you do that? You could have done that better. And sometimes I have to say, well, Jackie, you just did your very best. Next time, this is how you need to conduct yourself. You with me? But I'm always able to recover, mind you. I have those hard conversations, but I recover. But doing better is loving myself, holding myself accountable, and then improving. Okay? So, poor self-image, disempowering conversation, resistance of change. Someone said that. Resistance to self. Self-sabotaging. A lot of us do that, especially in the Bahamas. Self-sabotaging. You're trying to help them. You know, it's like, and this is one of the things that really upset me sometimes. You know, some persons are stuck. They don't have job. This is a time when a lot of persons don't have job. And you're trying to give them ideas as to how they can empower themselves and become their own employers. They're trying to be employee in that they're trying to figure out for that moment. Like, no, I ain't into all of that. Just give me $5 right now. You're trying to say, okay, with this $5, sometimes you're saying you could buy grits, egg, as opposed to going and buy McDonald's. You could use this $5 now for grits and egg, and you could have that to eat. You know, you're not trying to get into their personal life, but you're really trying to give them advice that will allow them to make empowering decision in the future, you know, because right there and then they're eating the McDonald's, and that's it, that's gone. Whereas if they buy grits and egg, they can have that for the entire week. You get my point, okay? So stop self-sabotaging, okay? Self-doubt is on that list. Anxiety, real talk, she says. Anxiety is there. People procrastinate because they're anxious. And when you're anxious, and that's another thing that we need to deal with, some of us need to go as far as even seek professional help for anxiety, because it's a form of mental disorder. It's nothing wrong with the same, like our body gets out of whack, our minds sometimes go in the same direction. So just go and get help, deal with it, and then move on. Not ready to take the next step. This is another one. This is a big one for us a lot of time in the Bahamas. That's a big one. And around the world. But I just mentioned it from what I see. Disorganization. Stuck because we're disorganized. We didn't do our research work. Poor timing. We don't know it's a poor timing. We don't know the market factors out there. We don't have all the information. And so we're stuck. We don't know which way to go. We don't even know how to diagnose the problem. All we know, we're stuck. Why? What? Get under the big rock. Why are you stuck? Nobody knows. Go do a market survey. That's a lot of work. We say that's a lot of work. So what we do? We remain stuck. Nowhere to go. That's in our personal life. That's in our churches. That's in our workplaces. Just change is scary. That's another one. Big one. Change is scary. Right back to fear. So disorganization, not ready to take the next step. Lack of responsibility and integrity. Not honoring our word. We don't want to honor our word, so we stay stuck. Now, if I tell you I can do that, I don't want to commit to that. Because that means you need to now take action, right? You need to take not delayed action. So you rather stay just in a state of delay. I don't know how to respond to that. So like that, nobody could hold you responsible because you have made no commitment, no action taken, and not putting first things first. All right? So there's a whole list, but I tried to come up with a bucket list of ones that we could work with and we could find solution, hoping that that would represent most of the persons around the world. Because I believe by faith, and that's what I'm speaking into the atmosphere, that in my life, and I already see it because the feedback, the suggestion came from somebody not even in our local market. Someone seen my live in distant land and asking me to do one on procrastination. So I want to say thanks once again to that gentleman. Thank you for watching and thank you for sharing my live. So I have a confession, and this is a confession that I'm not proud of. As I end this live, I'll come with my confession, and then I'll do closing points. And then we'll meet again next week when we're doing solutions. So come back next week with part 2 with some of the solutions, all right? So here's my confession. I have been guilty in too many places of procrastinating. I'm a procrastinator in many aspects of my life, and I've sabotaged myself and have not lived my best life in some of those areas. That's just cold facts. And I'm embarrassed by it. As I look at some of my stuck decision, whether it was a relationship that I needed to get out earlier. You know when I got out that relationship, I allowed panic to move me. And as opposed to responding, where you're taking information in consideration and making your best decision, I acted like a lunatic. I reacted. And yes, I got out, but I was not proud at the end of the day as to how I got out. I would have liked to be in better control when I got out. You understand me? In relation. So we ain't gonna do that in the community. I didn't tell you what I did in that relationship. But that's not even what I'm confessing to. I confess to that, but that's not my big confession. So many women, I see a lot of the women women are on this live. This is one for you to know and half the battle. Acknowledge. Thank you so very much. So here is the big raw confession I want to share with you. And many women can relate to this. So I had an opportunity in my professional career. I tend to be in many times the only woman in the room, or there are only one other woman or a few women in the room. In this case, I think I was the only woman, or there might have been another one in the room. And I was in a room, because most of these professional rooms, so it was an organization, professional organization, and in most of them, call it what it is, it's a boys' club, right? The women, we're just like by the wayside, but it's really a professional male club. But there was one gentleman in this male club, so he obviously wasn't a part of the boys, or decided to move away and redefine himself. So there was this position of being president of this organization. And there was this handsome, charming, that's how I can describe him, bold soldier, courageous soldier, who stood on his feet. And he recommended me for the president position of that organization. There was like, did he say Jackie Gardner? Me? And why did I go and doing all my procrastinating? Because now it's going to come to decision. And I'm sitting there, I'm stuck like, I'm delaying even making a decision. So he recommended my name. I'm delaying making a decision. My friend. And this is another male who I consider to be my friend. And sometimes we get these things from our friend, these pushback from our friends. And so that's why you got to know who you are, know what you are called to do, and move based on your own cognizance, because people, even your friends, can move you in the wrong direction and cause you to be stuck. So here it is in this now, the question I'm being nominated, the name on the floor is the one and only Jacqueline Gardner. My friend stood up and said, absolutely not. I don't think Jackie should be president. I don't think she's ready for that position. So I stand now stuck, because now my name is nominated and somebody is now knocking it down. My friend is knocking it down. What did I do? Now I am not proud. What I did, because in that moment I was fearful, I was a perfectionist right on that list, and that's why I'm surprised that it made the list. As despite the fact that I was guilty of it, I was shocked it was so high on the list. In that moment, you know what I said? I'm not ready. And you know the reason why I said I'm not ready? I said because I'm not 100% ready. And if I can't give it my all, I shouldn't give it anything. So I should not be the name on. Could you believe that? When I look around and look back, who was ready? Who in that room was 100% ready? When I look back at some of the things that they asked me in the same room to do, I'll be the person doing all the work. Go do the search, go do the research work, work. Be the assistant. But why can't I be the president, be the secretary? And we as women need to stop doing that. Sometimes we are guilty of not moving our, thank you so much. We are not guilty of moving our own self forward. So my confession on this live is I was stuck. I procrastinated. Till looking a while before I give the response because I was ashamed. I didn't even know what to do. And in my procrastination, I declined the position. In preparing for this live, I had to connect with that again. And I am embarrassed by that. Because 100% I could have walked boldly into that role. I have so many persons who were there to support me. I have my one and only DeQuesta. DeQuesta would have been willing and able. I have persons in my family. I have vice president in my family. So this is how crazy it is. Vice president in my family, 2 as a matter of fact. CPAs in my family, persons who own their own businesses. I have friends. I have my friend Valencia. I have my sister Daphne. I have you in this community. It wasn't, well, I wouldn't have had the community, but I would have had some of these persons right here to assist me. I say to myself now, I know what I do now. Some opportunities, when we mess up some opportunities, it take a while for those opportunities to circle back. We gotta be appreciative. That's why time is so important. And that's why we cannot allow procrastinating to self-sabotage us. We just can't. We don't have that luxury. God have us here for an appointed time, a given time. And there's going to be a spiritual application in part 2 of this. But in the interest of time, I'm just going to end right here and give my confession. Like I said in my confession, I have been guilty of doing it and I am not proud of it. I regret sabotaging myself. As I end this live, I want to end by leaving you with emoji, basically 2 quotes together. Somebody say, you can get that president position again. Thank you so much. Yes, it will come again. I get the opportunity to serve as president in other ministry, in other positions, and other forums. But that position, that opportunity has not circled back yet. But who knows? All right, it might come again. I need to join the organization because I'm not even no longer a part of it. But maybe I need to go join it just to pursue it. Anyway, that's another topic. But I end by leaving you with, well, 2 well-known quotes that I'm going to sort of merge together in the interest of time. Procrastination, and I just see my son. I'm so happy to have him here. I know that I can tell you this. I have 2 very intelligent sons. So I'm just using this to say, you look in your family. You have people in your family. The next time you have this opportunity. Miss Julian, great to have you. My friend is here. Another good friend doing great things all over the world. And somebody who is in search of information and living a best life. So the next time, like I said, I know next time when I have this decision, I have someone like my son. I mean, I could just throw anything off my sons and I could tell you, my sons will come back with bold, strong, courageous information. And my sons, they will tell me, Mommy, when you're procrastinating. So if you have family members, ask them to hold you accountable. Monitor your behavior and see whether you're procrastinating and to hold you accountable, because what you want to do is improve. Or Monique saying you're a great leader. Thank you so very much. So as I end in the interest of time, because my son will say I ran too long. As I end in the interest of time, procrastination is a thief of time. And we said time is valuable. Secondly, also only put off until tomorrow what you are willing to die haven't left undone. Isn't that sober? If that's something that you need to do now, you need to get going. Do not Procrastinate. This has been Jackie Gardner on Jackie Gardner Facebook Live at 5:45, saying to you, take action and acknowledging the fact that Ubuntu in this community, our community, collectively putting our ideas together, we are more effective than operating in isolation. Join me not the upcoming Saturday, next Saturday, for part 2 of procrastination. And I'm not going to leave you in this state. I'm going to tell you how collectively we're going to move forward.